Okay. Let's start with the prayers all together. Om Sada Shiva
Samaram Shankaracharyamyamam Asmadacharyapuryantam Vande Guru Paramparam
Saraswati
Namastubhyam Saraswati Kamarupini Vidyarambhavatu me sada
Om Sahanau
Tamastu ma vidvishvahai. Om Shanti Vasudevendra Yogi
Mukshu Tattva Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
So, we were looking at this verse last time. So, anyone would like to give a quick recap of what we were discussing? What is the topic?
It is about the Jiva Ishvara equation. Jiva Ishvara Aikyam.
Yes, it is about the Aikyam between Jiva and Ishvara. And we saw this particular line last time. And what is the gist of it? What does it say?
It says that this Jiva with the individual sense of individuality, ahankar, and a limited feeling, a limitation, limited knowledge, feels it is different from Ishvara.
Why? Why does it feel it is different?
Because Ishvara is limitless and he's the cosmic order himself, as you said, and all-knowing, whereas the Jiva has limited, very limited powers.
Yes.
And so this is what he feels.
Yes. So,
and these are opposites, so he feels he's different.
Exactly. So the superficial attributes seem to be opposite, right? So that is why it looks like as though this Jiva and Ishvara, how can they be same? And everyone gets this question actually, that how can they be the same? How can me, this little body and the limited intellect, everything that I have, how can it compare to the universe itself, the entire cosmos? When you compare the bodies, when you compare at a physical level, obviously it is not equal. And so the author also, the teacher, he has understood this and he has raised the same question. And now he's going to explain how it is so. So we will read this one and then discuss. Iti chenna Thula Sukshma Sharirabhimani Tvam Padavacyarthaha Upadhi Vinirmuktam Samadhi Dasha Sampannam Shuddham Chaitanyam Tvam Padalakshyarthaha Evam Sarvajñatvadi Vishishta Ishvaraha
सर्वज्ञत्वादिविशिष्ट ईश्वरः
तत्पदवाच्यार्थः
तत्पदवाच्यार्थः
उपाधिशून्यं शुद्धचैतन्यम्
उपाधिशून्यं शुद्धचैतन्यम्
चैतन्यम्
तत्पदलक्ष्यार्थः
तत्पदलक्ष्यार्थः
एवं च जीवेश्वरयोः
एवं च जीवेश्वरयोः
चैतन्यरूपेणाभेदे
चैतन्यरूपेणाभेदे
भेदे
बाधकाभावः
बाधकाभावः
भावः
Okay, right. So now before we start fully discussing each word and the meaning of this, there are two important words that first we have to understand. The first one is Vachyarthaha and the second is Lakshyarthaha. Now, these are two important words. The word Vachyarthaha means the direct meaning of any particular word. So, words are not just sounds, right? They are associated with some meaning, with some object. So, if I say table, the sound table by itself is meaningless. But because table is associated to the object table, so when I say table, even though it is a sound I am making, in your mind, the image that appears is of the object table, right? So every word has a particular meaning or a particular object associated with it. Now, the word Vachyartha, it means the direct meaning of any particular word. The direct meaning, the primary meaning, the literal meaning. Okay. And the word Lakshyartha means the indirect meaning, the figurative meaning, or the secondary meaning. It is an implied meaning. Okay, so for example, let us take the word I. So when I say I, usually in a general sense, it refers to my whole body mind sense complex, obviously blessed by Atma. So basically it is RM1 plus RM2 plus RM3 and backed by OC. So it is RC1 plus RC2 plus RC3. This is the general meaning of I. It includes the physical body, all the components of Sukshma Shariram, like the Indriyam, the mind, all the different parts, the prana. And it also includes, obviously, Chaitanyam, Atma. So this is the usual meaning of the word I. Now suppose I say I am writing. Now in this case, it cannot be the whole Sukshma Shariram, the whole Sthula Shariram, right? When I say I am writing, the whole body is not writing. Only my hand is writing. And with it, it is backed by some little prana and some portion of the mind, right? When I say I am writing. So the word I has two kinds of meanings. One is the total meaning, and one is this meaning, which is a part of that total meaning. So, this is the difference, the Vachyarthaha and Lakshyarthaha. Vachyarthaha is the direct meaning, Lakshyarthaha is an implied meaning. Vachyarthaha generally it is the total, and Lakshyarthaha generally it is a part of that total. So, for example, suppose I say bring a banana. you will bring the whole banana. And suppose I say, eat a banana. Obviously, you will eat it without the peel. So you will eat a part of the banana, not the whole banana, right? But if I say, bring a banana, you will not bring a peeled banana. You will bring the whole banana. So this is the idea. And this is what is lakshyartha, the implied meaning. When I say eat a banana, you obviously understand that it has to be eaten without the peel. Even though it is not said explicitly, it is understood that I have to eat a banana without the peel. And so you will do that. So, what you do is you apply an intellectual filter. You have applied an intellectual understanding, extracted a meaning from that, from the words that are said, and that is the proper, correct understanding. And this intellectual filtering we do most of the time in conversation. In language, most of the majority, 60, 70, 80% of the time, we are actually talking figuratively, not literally. For example, if I say, I'm taking the bus, actually, bus is taking me. I am not taking the bus anywhere. But it is understood that I am traveling by bus, right? So, like this, most of the time in conversation, we are taking and extracting some meaning and getting the proper understanding. Suppose if I say, he is very thin, obviously it is referring to the body of the person. The mind cannot be thin, no? It doesn't make sense. So when I say he is thin, I am not talking about the whole person. I am talking only about his physical body. Suppose I say he is very intelligent. The body cannot be intelligent. Intelligence is a attribute associated with the mind. So when I say he is intelligent, it is understood we are talking about his mind. So, in this way, we are constantly doing this intellectual filter, whether we realize it or not. Sometimes it is more obvious, sometimes it is not so obvious. So, this is what the author is telling that now we have to do for the Mahavakya Tattvamasi. This Vachyartha, Lakshyartha separation and understanding we have to do for Tattvam Asi. And that is what he's going to explain now. Is this clear?
Yes.
Right. Now let us look at the words. He says, iti chenna. Iti chenna means it is not so. And this he is referring to his previous statement. The previous statement said that it appears as though Jiva and Ishvara have opposite qualities. So, how can the Mahavakya Tattvamasi be true? How can this Abheda Buddhi be possible? So the author replies, Iti chenna. It is not so. It is not that they are opposite. It is not that they have totally opposite characteristics. You have to understand it correctly. And that is the explanation that he is giving now. So he says, Sthula Sukshma Sharirabhimani Tvam Pada Vachyarthaha. Now, this word Tvam is taken from the Tattvamasi statement, the Tvam portion. Tvam means you. You means Jiva, the individual. So when he says Tvam in that equation, he is telling it has two different meanings. One is the Vachyarthaha, the direct meaning, and then the Lakshyarthaha, which is an indirect meaning. And what is the Vachyarthaha, the direct meaning? He says, Sthula Sukshma Sharirabhimani. Basically, the RC. The, physical body backed by the subtle body, blessed by consciousness. This Jiva, this entity that believes that I am the body, I am the mind, this entity. He has not mentioned Karana Shariram, but it is included, obviously, right? Because it's not like you can separate Karana Shariram from the Jiva. So they go together. So even though he has not mentioned, it has to be understood that that is also included. So when he says Sthula Shukshma Sharirabhimani, he is talking about this Jiva which is identified with the three bodies. The Jiva that believes that I am the three bodies. Now, generally in conversation, also, this is true. When I say I am talking about the body mind sense complex, right? When I say I am doing something, it is the body backed by the subtle body which is doing that activity. So, this limited entity, this jiva that believes it is limited, that is the vachyartha of tvam. The jiva at who believes he is an individual is tvam. So then what is the lakshyartha? That he explains in the next line. He says tvam pada lakshyartha. Now I will tell you the implied meaning of the word tvam. He says upadhi vinirmuktam. Upadhi is what? What is upadhi?
The conditioning factor,
Okay, and in this case, what is it?
the reflect, the RM.
Yes, the RMs are the upadhi. What are the RMs? The three bodies. Right?
Bodies.
So he says upadhi vinirmuktam. Vinirmuktam means eliminate or remove or kind of negate. So negate these RMs, and what do you have? What are you left with? If you remove RM, what will you be left with?
The OC.
OC. OC is nothing but Shuddham Chaitanyam. Shuddham means pure, Chaitanyam means consciousness. So, pure consciousness, which we are calling as original consciousness or OC, right? So, if you remove RM, you're left with OC. That is what the author is telling. And how do you do this? How can you do this? He says, Samadhi Dasha Sampannam. Sampannam means endowed with or possessing. Dasha means at the time of. And Samadhi. So at the time of Samadhi, this is what? This is the Lakshyartha. Now, this Samadhi is not, the Yoga Sutra Samadhi, which is one of the states of meditation. This Samadhi here, we are talking about the total understanding of Aham Brahmasmi. So, complete concentration and assimilation of Aham Brahmasmi. In other words, it is total assimilation of the difference between the Nitya and Anitya Vastu. So, Samadhi actually here can be taken to mean Vivekaha. What is Vivekaha?
Nitya, Anitya, the difference between permanent and impermanent.
Yes. Nitya Anitya Vastu Vivekaha. So, total assimilation of the discrimination between Nitya and Anitya, discrimination between Sat and Asat, discrimination between Atma and Anatma, that is Vivekaha. And so, this total understanding, complete assimilation, at that time, this is the Lakshyartha, when the Upadhis are dropped and what remains is OC. Now remember that the Upadhis cannot be physically dropped. That is why Vivekaha, it has to be intellectually negated. Intellectually, it has to be understood that I am not the three bodies, I am actually Shuddham Chaitanyam. And that is the Lakshyartha of this Tvam. Tvam from Tattvamasi. So Vachya,
Medha ji, why do we add this word Shuddham?
because we are not talking about reflected consciousness either, right? We are talking about pure consciousness, consciousness without any anatma factoring in. It is
Okay.
it is a little what do you say, tricky to understand, because even to say aham brahmasmi, you need anatma. You need the body to say aham brahmasmi, right? Brahman alone cannot say anything, let alone aham brahmasmi. Brahman cannot speak, he cannot think, he cannot move, nothing. So Shuddham Chaitanyam is totally akarta. Only with this Atma Anatma mixture, the composite entity, that can say Aham Brahmasmi. Okay, so that is the idea.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is this clear? The Vachyartha and Lakshyartha of Tvampada?
Yes.
Okay. Now the same thing we have to do on the Ishvara side of the equation, right? So that is Tat. So when we say Tattvamasi, the Tat, it refers to the Ishvara portion. So what is the Vachyartha of Tat? He says, Sarvagnatvadi Vishishta Ishvaraha. This Sarvagnya Adi, Sarvagnya, etc., Ishvara. This omniscient, omnipotent Ishvara with various forms and the whole creation. Generally, when we say Ishvara, when we say creation, that is what the word Tat means, the Vachyartha. But we have, obviously, we are not taking Vachyartha, we are taking only Lakshyartha. We are taking the implied meaning, right? So we have to look at the Lakshyartha of Tattvabodha. And what should we do? Again, same thing, we have to drop the Upadhis. What are Ishvara's Upadhis?
The Karana Prapancha and the Sukshma Prapancha and Sthula Prapancha.
Yes, the three prapanchas, right? They are the upadhis for Ishvara. So they are the RM on Ishvara's side. And what should we do? Upadhi shunyam. Without upadhis. Remove the upadhis. In the absence of upadhis, what remains? Again, Shuddha Chaitanyam. OC remains. So when you look at the Lakshyartha is without upadhis, what remains is OC alone, Shuddha Chaitanyam alone. And so when you look at the Lakshyartha, the implied meaning, then you see that this Tvampada is equal to Tatpada, meaning Jivatma is equal to Ishvara. Tat becomes equal to Tvam because both are finally OC, original consciousness. It is not to be taken, the equation Tattvamasi cannot be taken literally. It has to be understood intellectually by dropping the upadhis. So another example for this is the wave and the ocean. Wave, we all know what is a wave. It comes and goes in the ocean. And then we have the ocean. So wave is like the jiva, the vyashti, the individual. Ocean is the totality, the samashti. Here what we are calling as Ishvara. But what is the tattvam of both of them? What is the essence of both the wave and the water?
Water, ocean.
Sorry, wave and ocean is water.
Water.
So if you compare the bodies of the wave and the ocean, can they ever be equal?
No, the wave is much tinier compared to ocean.
Yes. And ocean is a vast entity, wave is a very small, tiny fraction. Ocean lasts much longer, wave comes and goes in a very brief period of time. Right? So, superficially, if you compare wave and the ocean, it will never be equal. The bodies of the wave and the ocean are never equal. But when you look at it from the standpoint of water, wave is also water, ocean is also water, and so they are not different. Okay? Is this understood? The tattvam, the essence of wave and ocean is water alone. The substance of both is water. Is this clear?
Yes.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. So this has to be understood. Now, this concept will take some time to assimilate and understand, but it is important. One important reason why I told the wave and the ocean example is because at the name and form level, both are different, both are superficially different. And because of that, they will behave according to their natures. The nature of the ocean is different from the nature of the wave. The wave moves, the wave comes and goes. The ocean is larger, it is largely still or appears to be still, and so on. But at the level of water, they are both same. Now, the same thing we have to always remember when it comes to this Jiva Paramatma equation. At the physical level, the bodies of Ishvara and Jiva are different. They cannot be compared and they behave differently according to their natures. So it is important to remember this because partial understanding of this will lead me to the incorrect conclusion that I am the universe. But actually, I am not the body of the universe, right? The bodies are two different things. This body, how it functions, is different from the way the universe functions. The upadhis are different, and so they will behave differently. And so, because of that, I also must interact with the world in accordance with that understanding. Okay? So, it is, you will see this later in Gita that even if you are a jnani, still sometimes you may have to scold somebody. You may have to behave in a way that is appropriate to the situation. Remember that even Krishna went to war despite being Ishvara himself. Sometimes what has to be done at the vyavaharika level. But from the point of view of OC, from the point of view of Brahman, there is no difference at all. Everything is Brahman. And so that is what the author says in the last line. He says, Evam cha. And so, in this manner, Jiveshwara yoho, this Jiva and Ishvara both, Chaitanya Rupena Abhede, from the point of view of Chaitanya, from the point of view of OC, Abhede, they are not different. There is no difference when we talk about them at the level of consciousness. And so, badhaka abhavaha. This word breaks as abhavaha. So, abhavaha means absence, badhaka means contradiction. So, there is no contradiction at all in saying Tattvamasi, in saying that Aham Brahmasmi, because we have to understand it taking Lakshyarthaha, and from the point of view of OC, they are not different at all. We have to drop the upadhis and then look at the equation. then there is no contradiction at all. Is this clear?
Om Medhaji.
Yeah.
Medhaji, you said abhavaha means absence. So when we are saying bhadaka abhavaha, how does it mean there is no contradiction in saying
Badaka
that?
means contradiction. Abhava means absence. So absence of contradiction.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. So this is the main crux of Vedanta, the main teaching. When you study any Vedantic text, this is what will be explained in different words, in different ways, using different examples. So, in as many ways as it takes, they will keep explaining the same thing, coming at it with different approaches, different methodologies, trying to reinforce the same idea. This is the main teaching. But because the conditioning is so strong in the mind that I am the body, I am, limited, I am a girl, I have this much age, this is my lifetime, I'm defined by my roles in life, I am, defined that I am a daughter or a wife or a mother or working in a company as some position. So we take these different labels and different identifications, and we get deeply conditioned that I am this. This deconditioning process will take some time, and that is why repeated Shravanam becomes necessary. That Shravanam is not actually a reconditioning, it is actually deconditioning. So, the conditioning that we have, we are just trying to drop that conditioning, drop the wrong ideas, and what will remain is the right idea. So, that is the purpose of Shravanam, and that is why repeated Shravanam is encouraged. So, first time Shravanam will remove the Ajnanam, but repeated Shravanam is actually more like Nididhyasanam, assimilation. And that is why repeated Shravanam is encouraged. Okay, with this we have finished the fourth chapter of Tattvabodha, which was the Aikyam, the Jiveshwara Aikyam. Now, from the next line onwards, we are going to be looking at the fifth topic, which is the Jnana Phalam. Yeah, let us look at this equation before we go to the next line. So, Jivatma minus Upadhi is equal to Shuddha Chaitanyam. When we look at it from that diagram and the equation, Jivatma is nothing but OC plus RM, right? The body or the reflecting medium blessed by consciousness is Jivatma. So Jivatma is OC plus RM minus Upadhi. Upadhi is nothing but RM. So what happens? RM cancels and you're left with OC on both sides. And the same thing when we do for Paramatma. Paramatma's RM cancels and we are left with OC on both sides. So with this, the equation makes sense. The equation is established in this way. Okay. Are there any questions about this Aikyam topic?
This shows that Paramatma is also not a pure form. It is mixed with Upadhis.
Yes.
Okay. So it is the Shuddh Chaitanya.
Yes.
Thank you. Medhaji, to drop this Upadhi, we require the Upadhi.
Yes. To drop upadhi, you need upadhi. That is the tricky portion. So basically, RC must eliminate RC. Okay. So this is the author's concluding line of the previous chapter, as well as an introductory line to the next chapter. The next chapter is called the Jnana Phalam, the benefit of having this Jnanam. So the author is actually coming to this at the end, whereas we have seen this in the beginning. So if the question arises that, okay, why do I need to know all this? What's in it for me if I get, if I have this jnanam, this atma jnanam, what is the benefit? So if that question comes, now the author is going to address that in this whole chapter. What is the benefit of this jnanam? So portion of it we saw in the very first class, because it is important to know why I am doing what I am doing. It is important to know why I'm getting into the study and what is the benefit of the study. So, we discussed a small portion of it in the very first class, which was the 5 benefits of moksha. Now, we're going to go a little more and see some more benefits, and also we're going to see the law of karma. So that will come in the next class. Today we will see this line, which is an introductory line to the next chapter. Evancha
Evan cha
Vedanta Vakyaihi
Vedanta Vakyai
Sadgurupadeshena
Sadguru
Sadguru
Cha Sarveshwapi Bhuteshu
Jasarve
Vishwapiteshu
Yesham Brahma Buddhirutpanna
Yesham
Brahma
Brahmabuddhirupanya
Te Jivanmukta Ityarthaha.
Te Jivan
Jivanmukta
Ityartha.
Ityartha.
Okay. So he says, Evam cha. And so in this way, and so in this manner, Vedanta Vakyaihi, the teachings of Vedanta, the Vedantic teaching, the words of Vedanta, Sadguru Padeshena. This is Sadguru plus Upadeshena, means as taught by the Guru. So again, he is re-emphasizing the idea that Shastra and teacher go together. Independent self-study of the scripture is not encouraged. In fact, not only may it not work, it may in fact backfire also and give wrong meanings. Anything that is born out of the human intellect is limited. This is why in science, we see so many theories coming, and then a few years later, that theory is disproved and a new theory has replaced it. And this keeps on happening continuously. So, what is born from the human intellect is limited. But Shastra is Pramanam itself. It is apaurushaya. It is it cannot be negated, nor can it be improved upon. The teaching is complete by itself. And with this being the case, a teacher is required who has understood the Shastra in the way that it has to be understood and then can teach. So they have to go together. The teacher also cannot be giving personal opinions, personal interpretations. It has to follow the Sampradaya. Sampradaya means the methodology of unfolding the scriptures. So they have to go together. Shastra, as explained by the teacher, and the teacher whose words are backed by Shastra. So both have to be there. So SPG has a nice way of saying it. He says the study has to be a systematic, regular study of the scriptures for a long period of time under a competent acharya. If you look at all the different words in that statement, he says systematic study. So it is not random pravachans. Today we will talk about moksha, tomorrow we will talk about karma, day after we will talk about something else. No, it is a systematic unfoldment. This is what is meant by sampradaya, the methodology. So in the beginning, basic concepts are introduced, and then later we build upon those concepts to more finer and sophisticated topics. So there is a systematic, ordered study. And it is not just that, it has to be consistent. That is why weekly, once we do the class. We don't do it once a month or once in 6 months. So, it doesn't work if I say that, oh, this for this year I will attend 2 classes of Vedanta and I'm done. No. If it was that simple, then the moment you say Tattvamasi, everyone should get moksha. But that is not the case, right? So that is why consistency is also necessary. And then he says consistent, systematic study of the Shastra. So, not of physics, not chemistry, not biology, not something else, but of the Vedantic scriptures, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, all of the texts that contain this Vedantic knowledge. So, that must be studied and for a long period of time, because assimilation takes time, because the conditioning is quite deep. If it was not deep, if it was very easy, then there would be instant moksha. As soon as you finish Tattvabodha, we will give you a moksha certificate. It would be that easy. But that is not the case. It takes years, and sometimes it may even take lifetimes. But consistent long term study is necessary in a structured, systematic way and under a competent acharya, under a competent teacher. Now, who is a competent teacher? So, for this, there are two categories of teachers that are talked about in the scriptures: Shrotriya and Brahmanishta. Shrotriya is a teacher who has undergone formal training himself. So, this teacher, having undergone a formal education in the proper way and who has the skill of communication, who knows how to present the teaching to the students, he is called a Shrotriya teacher. A Brahmanishta teacher is one who who is a gnani, who whose nididhyasanam is complete, whose assimilation of the knowledge that I am Brahman is complete, and this person is a Brahmanishta. Now, when the choice comes that do I choose a Shrotriya teacher or a Brahmanishta teacher, suppose there is a choice, then you must choose the Shrotriya teacher, because the Shrotriya teacher can explain at the level of the student, whereas the Brahmanishta teacher may or may not do so. So, for example, Brahmanishta teacher we have is Ramana Maharishi. So, Ramana Maharishi did not undergo any formal training in this lifetime that we know of. And if you see his works, they're quite cryptic, and very few works actually. He has not, taught too much. Just some hardly 3 or 5 texts are there, and they are very, what do you say, compact. Very few words he uses to talk, And even when, students used to go and ask him questions, sometimes he would answer, sometimes he would not answer. So that doesn't mean his Brahmanishta status is affected. It is just that at the level of the student, from the point of view of the student, it may get a little confusing. And that is why a Shrotriya teacher is recommended, the one who can explain, simplify, and present the teachings. And if you find a teacher who is both Shrotriya and Brahmanishta, then it is your greatest punyam. Okay, so in recent times, we have Swami Dayananda Saraswati, and of course, there are many others. So, if you find such a teacher, it is a great blessing. The one who can explain and the one who is Brahmanishta. Right. So, Vedanta Vakyaihi Sadguru Upadeshena. So, this teaching from a teacher, from a qualified teacher, what happens? Now, Brahma Buddhir Utpanna. Brahma Buddhihi means the understanding that I am Brahman. And not just I am Brahman, Sarveshwapi Bhuteshu. All beings, not just all beings, but the entire creation itself is Brahman. This understanding, having this Atma Jnanam, is what they are calling as Brahma Buddhi. It's the same as saying Brahma Jnanam, having the understanding that I am Brahman, and firm and complete understanding. Having completed Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam, this firm understanding, Yesham. Yesham means in those whom this understanding comes, they, those people, Jivan Mukta Ityartha. Ityartha means they are called as, so those people in whom this understanding has come, they are called as Jivan Mukta. Jivan means life, living. Mukta means liberated or free. So, liberated while still living, liberated while still possessing this body, liberated before the death of the physical body, that is called as Jivan Mukta. So, the idea being conveyed is that liberation is possible during life itself. There are some other philosophies and some other religions also that say you will get your moksha after death. But there's no guarantee, no? We don't know what happens after death. So here he's clarifying that you don't have to wait till after your death and maybe in some other loka or something like that. In this very life, in this very birth, it is possible to get moksha. It is possible to be a Jivan Mukta. And this Jivan Mukta, because of his firm knowledge that I am Brahman, he is free from insecurities, from fear, from worry, from all the disturbing emotions of the mind. So, one of the biggest fears we have is fear of death, death of my own body, death of the bodies of people around me. So, this is a biggest fear that we have. And in pursuit of this, because of this fear, driven by this fear, we try to achieve immortality. But unfortunately, we try to achieve immortality of the body. The nature of the body, the nature of all anatma, in fact, is such that it cannot be immortal. It is constantly changing, and so the body has to drop. The nature of the body is such that it cannot remain like this forever. It keeps on changing, and one day it is no longer useful. Right? In old age, we have all seen that the body becomes quite uncooperative. And so the body must be dropped. It is the nature of the body that it is not immortal, it is temporary. And this understanding has to be there firmly. Unfortunately, what happens? People become attached to the body and they want to keep the body going no matter what. And so we do all sorts of things to keep the body going. There are a lot of medical technologies and advancements in medical field that try to push the body as far as it can go. But despite that, still the body must one day drop. And because of this fear, actually, it is this fear that drives us to do everything in life, that drives us to seek security in the form of wealth or in the form of children or in the form of anything, actually. It is this fear that drives us, that this feeling that I am not immortal, this insecurity. But when I know that I am Brahman, I am whole, I am complete, I am wholeness itself. When this Purnatvam is achieved, there is no more fear and there is no more insecurity. Because as Brahman, I cannot die. As Brahman, I cannot change. As Brahman, I am everywhere, all pervading, all the time. And this firm understanding relieves me of all the fear and insecurities. And that is called as Jivan Mukta. The another word for Jivan Mukta is also Jnani, the one who knows, the one who understands clearly. Okay, any questions? The word Jnani is interesting because it conveys that this Jnanam, this Jivan Mukta status, can only be achieved through Jnanam. No amount of karma or any activity, no amount of praying also will give moksha. Only Jnanam gives moksha. Jnanam means clear understanding of the difference between Anatma and Atma, and that I am Satchidananda Atma. This clear understanding is Jnanam, and only this will give moksha. So, this takes time to fully accept, because in order to accept Jnanam as the means for moksha, we have to first understand the nature of the bondage. The nature of the bondage is Ajnanam. And so, only Jnanam can be the remedy. It's like the famous snake and rope example. When you're walking on the road and you see the rope and you imagine it is a snake. Now, because there is a artificial snake superimposed on the rope, there's a lot of fear, there is a lot of insecurity, and so many associated things. Now, if you pray in front of this rope snake, or if you dance in front of the rope snake, if you do pranayama in front of the rope snake, is it going to relieve the fear? Is it going to permanently destroy that fear that has arisen? No. The only thing that can totally and permanently remove that fear, permanently resolve the situation, is understanding that actually there is no snake at all. It is only a rope. So, only clear understanding is the solution, is the remedy. It is the same when it comes to this also. We have superimposed the world on Brahman, and now we have to understand clearly in order to be free from all the worries and insecurities. And that is the Jivan Mukta status. Okay, any questions?
Medhaji, but we still require a fit and healthy body to get to reach to this stage of
Yes.
complete jnanam.
Yes.
So it's important, it's still important to have
Yes.
concern about the body.
Yes, this is a kind of a tricky way to deal with the body. On one side, you cannot say, "Oh, body is anatma. I'm not going to take care. Who cares?" No, body is needed. It's the very vehicle for you to go about this. So you have to take care of the body. But in taking care of the body, what happens? Attachment develops. And then when it is time to let go of the body, or if some small thing happens to the body, then there is lot of problems associated with that attachment. The raga, shoka, moha cycle starts, right? So then this has to be carefully balanced, taking care of the health of the body without being attached to the body. Both have to be done. If attachment happens, then when it is time to drop the body, it will become a very painful experience. But at the same time, if neglect of the body happens, then that will also become a painful experience. Okay, so we'll stop here for today. And next class, we will start with the new topic. Any other questions?
Yeah, it will take time to assimilate. You rightly said consistency is required. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll end with Purnamada. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate.
Vashishyate.
Om
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om.
Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Om.
Om Tat Sat. Thank you all and see you next week.
Yeah,
Thank you so very
Thank
much.
you.
thank you so much.
Thank you.